Okay, pre-calculus, in this video we are still talking about ellipses and conic sections. So we need to learn how to write the equation for an ellipse given a specific amount of information. So the first thing we're going to do, notice we are given vertices here. So these two values are going to be the endpoints of one of the axes, either the major or the minor axis. And we're also told the length of the minor axis. So it's going to be helpful to get a visual of this to see if we're going to have a horizontal or a vertical ellipse. So we are going to just graph these points. You can graph them freehand if you want to, or on your own graph paper. I'm just going to use this graph up here because I think it's going to be easier to see. So at 4, 3, I've got that right there. And then at 4, -9, I've got that right there. Now, as you can see, the distance here, the length of this is bigger than 8. It's actually 12. So this is not going to be the minor axis. So the minor axis is 8. So if I go halfway through this line I've drawn here, so down 3, 4, 5, 6, because half of 12 is 6, and then out 4 and over 4, that's my major axis or my minor axis of 8. So as you can see from this, we are going to have a vertical ellipse because B is greater than A, okay? Because B is 6 and A is 4. Okay, so hopefully you can tell that. And if you'll recall from our information we talked about in another video, see, I have a vertical ellipse if B is bigger than A. All right, so moving on from there. All right, keep in mind that if we want to write the equation, the standard form of the equation looks like this. So we're going to need the center. Well, I already found it. It's right here because I had to count down halfway through the major axis. So this ordered pair is actually going to be 4, -3. So I am going to replace h with 4 and k with -3. So I've got x plus, why did I do that? X minus +4 squared plus y minus a -3, so that would be y plus 3 squared. And then a is going to be the 4 right here, so a squared, 4 squared is 16. And then b is 6, so this is going to be 6 squared, which is 36. And there's our equation. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right, so let's look at what happens when we have to write our equation in standard form now. Again, keep in mind that standard form looks like this. And clearly, this does not look that way. So notice firstly that this is not equal to 0, it's equal to 1. So that's an indication that my constant is going to need to go on the other side of my equation, or on the equal side, on the other side of the equal sign. Ugh. Okay, so this first step, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to show the -24 on the right of the equal sign, and notice that this is x squared, then 4y squared, then 4x, then -24y. I am going to rewrite this so that the x's are grouped together and the y's are grouped together. So I've got x squared plus 4x plus 4y squared minus 24y equals -24 because the constant gets moved over. Okay, so from there, what do we need to do? Well, obviously, these are not written this way because we don't have any fractions. We don't have a binomial squared for x and for y. That means that we're going to need to rearrange some things. So the very first thing we're going to do, I've got these grouped together and these grouped together. The x squared coefficient just has a 1 understood here. So I've got x squared plus 4x, and I'm going to write plus a blank. because I need to create a trinomial that when it factors into two identical binomials so that I can write it as x minus something squared. Okay, what I have to do is the same thing for the y's, but this coefficient is not a 1. So I have to factor out the 4. And I have to write plus a blank. So 4 times y squared is 4y squared. 4 times 6 is 24. That's why I've got that there. Okay, now remember the cardinal rule when we're talking about equations. I can do anything I want to an equation as long as I keep it balanced and do it to both sides. So if you'll notice here, I have got a blank here and a blank here. That means I'm going to need a blank on the other side for both of those. So plus the first blank plus the second blank. However, there's a catch. Notice that this blank is going to get multiplied by a 4. So that means this last blank also has to get multiplied by a 4. Okay, now we're ready to fill in the blanks. It's really easy to do this. Whatever this value is right here, you take half of it, so that's a 2, and then you square it, which is a 4, and you put it right there. You do the same thing over here. Half of 6 is 3. 3 squared is 9. And then you're going to put those same values right over here. Easy. Okay, now what we need to do, I want you to notice, oh, really? I'm out of control. Okay, so I want you to notice that this now is a trinomial. This can be factored, x plus 2, x plus 2. If your brain can't take the factoring, it's just going to be x plus whatever the half was of this, okay? So if that's easier for you to think about it that way, that's fine. But you can write it, you can factor it and show that. Plus 4. Open parentheses, y takes this sign minus the half, which is 3. Over here, I have negative 24 plus 4, which is negative 20, plus these multiplied together is 36. So 24 plus 4, or sorry, negative 24 plus 4 is negative 20. Negative 20 and positive 36 is positive 16. Okay. We're getting closer. We've got this part and this part, but we're not quite done because this isn't 1. How can I change 16 to a 1? Divide by 16. And if I do it to one term, I have to do it to the whole thing. All right, so let's tidy this up and reduce. Here, there's nothing to reduce, so that stays exactly the same way. Here, 4 goes into 16 4 times. This becomes a 1. All done. Beautiful.